Yeah, we're not too far away now. Hello everyone and welcome back to Bally Spring. You've joined me on what's a fairly bright May morning, but it's actually fairly cold, believe it or not. We are due to get rain here today, and we do have a few black clouds around, but hasn't hit us as of yet anyway, so maybe we'll escape the worst of it. We'll see what way it goes. But yeah, I've just been out walking her grass there, and yeah, she's not too far away from being ready now at all. I'd say another week or so there now and we'll be probably hopefully ready to cut. We are due a few wet days here, so whenever we get the next dry spell now, we'll probably be looking to tackle it, I think. And speaking of grass, our little old paddock has recovered well since we put the bit of fort on it. And yeah, the grass looking nice and healthy in there now too. Kevin's cattle will have something nice to munch on when he eventually gets them here anyway. Now, we have a busy enough day there today. We have a good few jobs on. But before we do, I just want to give you a few little quick updates on a few bits going on around the farm. The first of which is just a very minor thing. I was up around here the other day, and you know, when Kevin cleaned out the farm, obviously before I bought it off him, and he did a pretty good job for the most part, but there's a little bit of junk back here behind the shed. And I just happened to be leaning up again this IBC while I was on the phone, and I just noticed that there was something sticking out of the grass back here. And we'll just try and make our way in across here. But as you can see, it is an old buck rake. She's a fairly old one by the looks of her, but most of the tines seem to be still on it in yokes anyway. This is obviously one that connects to the back of a tractor, and you know, they're used for pushing up the grass silage. Now, this is obviously a very old style one. It doesn't even have a push-off plate like any of the modern ones do, but there used to be a lever in there. Probably here you can see him there now, somewhere in the middle of it. There you go, that one there. You could attach like a piece of twine or a piece of rope or whatever to that, and you could trap them with it so that you could tilt it a little bit and shake the silage off it that way. I've never really put in silage with one of them before, but hey, it might come in handy, like, you know, there for us when we're doing our pit silage, because, well, we are going to need something to pick it up with, and it would save me having to buy a little fork for the front loader if it would work, so we'll at least give it a go. Even if it doesn't work out, I might actually have another idea in mind for that thing anyway. But that is not actually the only thing back here, because up under this pile of lumber, you can just about make out that there is something sticking out in under that. And what it is actually a little flail mower, or a finishing mower. Some lads like to call them a topper, but whatever you want to call it, there's one of them back there. And I was actually talking to Kevin about this because I didn't know if it was just Kitty had forgot, but considering it was under a pile of timber, I said to myself it was probably something that had seen better days. But basically Kevin said, he said it was stuff I just forgot to clear out. He said, honestly, he said, I forgot it was back there. And he said, if you want, I'll take it out there. And I said, no, it's grand. I said, that little rake, I said, might actually come in handy to me. But then I asked him what was the story with this. And he said, well, the last time, he says, I used that joke, he said, it was just making a horrible banging noise off. He said it was the blade hitting the body. And he said he stopped it off, and there was about 5 or 6 inches of play in the blade. Like, you know, she was slapping up and down in it. And he said to me he sort of parked a hop back there, and he said he never really went using it again. He said he ended up just buying a newer one after a while. Now, if you can see that little central box unit there where the PTO goes onto, there's a housing inside of that, and basically there's a bearing in the centre, and that bearing holds the shaft in place. Now, if just that bearing has shattered or something, that could actually be a pretty easy little fix, and it wouldn't be very expensive. Now, it could be something more. Maybe the housing is gone, and a housing could get a little bit more tricky, because it could be €100 or it could be €500. You just wouldn't know. But either way, I think I am going to actually try and pull that joke out of there and maybe try and get it over into a shed and get it up on its side and see can we get maybe a better look at it. Because, well, if it didn't cost an arm and a leg to get that joke going, I think I might actually try and do that. Because, well, what we could actually do with that is down in field 77 there where we have the potatoes, there's a pretty big grass margin on that field. And, you know, the last time I was down there, I was getting to the point of budding up, and, you know, that means it's going to start germinating soon. And when it does, that's going to blow a whole heap of grass seed in on top of our potatoes. But along with it, it's going to bring a whole heap of weeds, because there is a whole heap of weeds in that grass down there as well. And, you know, obviously that's not going to be great news. Now, honestly, I don't think I'm going to have time to get down there to do it anyway until at least after our silage. You know, be after the silage by the time I get this thing probably fixed. But while we can't stop it from happening, we might be able to at least, you know, mitigate the damage. We might be able to help stop it from getting any worse if we could get down there with that shock and just, you know, cut the grass down to the scut altogether. So we'll see what happens with it. We know it's there now, so, you know, like I said, we'll keep it in mind. Now, the next thing is to bring you up to this shed, because I have a little bit of an update in here for you as well. I'll just get this open, and as you will see, the International is not actually in here. Instead is my new little runaround. Now, I only picked this yoke up last night, and as you can see, she's a fairly old little yoke, but it is a little Land Rover, and I ended up paying 3,200 for this. Man, I tell you, the second-hand market is crazy at the moment, absolutely crazy. But, you know, she mightn't be the most visually impressive thing, she's not going to win any beauty contests, but I'm not too worried about that as long as she'd be reliable. And, well, she's a full year's DOE on her, and, you know, I checked her over there last night, and I couldn't see, I couldn't fault anything with it, only that the fact that wants a good wash. But, yeah, don't let, you know, looks deceive you too much either, because despite how this thing looks, it is a chick magnet. Now, unfortunately, what I mean by that is I actually found a hen roosting underneath the passenger seat, and yeah, I'm not even joking. Let me bring you over here, because I had to set up a little bed for her. But yeah, in here, yeah, you can just see her there in the background. I had to put down a bit of straw, like I said, but yeah, she seems happy enough at least. Gonna have to figure out a name for her, I guess. Maybe Landy, seeing as we found her in the Land Rover. But yeah, sure, free eggs if nothing else, huh? But yeah, so on to the next thing. I better shut this because we won't be back for a few minutes. But around this way, you'll see I had the fertilizer spreader on the back of the 675, because I actually spread down at the field at the back of Wes's, seeing as we have the rain coming, you know, now is the time to do it. I had a little bit left over in the spreader, and I actually managed to cover field 72 out there, which is the little small paddock. But yeah, that should do it good. Field 69 and field 71 haven't been done yet, but we're actually going to be tackling that today here, hopefully. Now, you will see my little harvester I have the pickup off for the moment, and well, keep that in mind, because we'll circle back to it. I'm not really in the humour to talk about it right now, to be honest with you. Now, the next thing is we got all of our bales in, and you're looking at 67 bales here in total. We actually had 88 in total, but good news, I have actually managed to sell 20 of them, and I threw them in one for nothing as well, so that's how we're missing 21 here. But you know, you want to treat a lad right when you're selling to him for the first time. I only stacked them in twos because I said I'd leave it handy for loading, and I've left a good bit of space between them there, as you can probably tell, just to get a bit of air in between them, just to be on the safe side, because bowel hay is a devil for retaining heat, you know. In fact, if I was stacking them 3 high, you know, I'd probably throw a pallet in underneath the bottom one, because it just helps with a little bit of airflow, you know. It gives them a few inches off the ground and the air can get underneath them and helps to keep them a little bit cooler. But no, like I said, I only stacked them 2 high in here because, well, it's not exactly like we're short on space or anything, you know. But now, out this way is the next update and the final one, and ignore the trailer because it's belonging to the man that I sold the hay to. But as you will see, our little International is now out and about. So, Now that I've washed her off, she's not looking too bad. Although, that said, the old paintwork is looking rougher. By the time I took the dirt off it, the dirt was kind of hiding how rough it really was. And especially when you come round to this side now, you can see the extent of it. But yeah, look, we won't worry about that for the moment. Might be something we might tackle in the future. The important thing is that she is now starting, hopefully, first turn of the key. And doesn't she sound absolutely sweet as a nut? As you can probably tell, I have given her a little bit of a clean off inside as well. It's amazing what a wet vac can do there for the roof cloth. Few little bits I couldn't get, as you can see, but not the end of the world. I also managed to remove whatever strain of the T virus was growing on the dash there, or maybe we should call it the I virus since it was in the international, but she was definitely a William Birkin job anyway, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, so good news on that front. Everything has worked out pretty sweet. Like I said, the money has gone out on the parts, but yeah, this will be our first real test. I gave her a little quick spin up the road the other night, but we're about to do a bit of work with it now and see how she actually gets on. Well, so far so good anyway. Our little international seems to be getting on alright. Get out here now, and I think we'll go up this way by Kevin's here. Don't really like going down through the town with a load of hay when I can avoid it, but yeah, she's pulling away nicely there. I know she's only 7 bales on the back of her, but yeah, everything feels nice. Steering is tight on it. Everything's feeling good. A little bit of black smoke over alright, but I wouldn't mind that. That might clear up. But yeah, she's humming along fairly well now. Now, we are on our way down to a man named Mick here. A nice man, an older man, might be in his 60s, maybe 70s, but it was actually Kevin who put him on to me, because he used to buy a bit of hay off Kevin, and with Kevin being short on grass there this year, he obviously couldn't sell him anything, but he said to him that, like, you know, I was running his whole yard there, so that he said, well, sure, you'd know it was the same quality hay you were always buying, and you know it'd be good quality. So yeah, he seemed happy enough. He came up and he had a quick look at it there, and he said he'd take the 20 bales off me, and we agreed on a price of 80 there per bale, which is not exactly what I was hoping for, but look, it is what it is. You sort of have to roll with the ebbs and flows of it a little bit, you know. I was hoping to maybe get around 85 a bale, but look, if you were to go along and turn down a lad when they're offering you good enough money on hay like that, you know, you're as well to take the offer, because I do always say the best time to sell hay is whenever you get an offer on it, because if you were to go along and turn down a lad like Mick there and tell him that wasn't enough money, well, that'd be the end of it. He'd never come back to you, you know. There'd be a customer loss for life. Whereas if I sell him to him now at 80, and you know, we come along then later in the year and the price is doing slightly better and maybe it's 90 a bale, well, you know, it's tough luck on him then at that point, you know. So it's tough luck on me in this situation at the start of it, but it's like I say, you have to sort of take the good with the bad. We might get a better price later on in the year, so it's like I said, the best time to sell it is when you get the offer on it. But yeah, he's a nice little farm down here, I tell you. He's a fairly compact little yard, but he's a good bit of land. As far as I know, all of this around here I think is his, and I'm not 100% sure what is and what isn't, but I know he has a good few fields around anyway. He's nice enough, man. Hardy old man, I tell you that much. He runs it, apparently Kevin was saying to me, he's no sons or daughters or anything, so he works away on his own down here, which is, you know, tough going at that age. Be tough enough going there in your 20s or 30s, but definitely gets tough going when you get to that age. Well, it's like I say, he's a tight enough little yard down here. We'll make it around the corner with his trailer, but I definitely didn't make it around it with mine. Now, he said to me just to stick it in there directly across from where he has his little load all there, so that's exactly what we'll do. But yeah, it's like I say, he has a nice little yard down here, some good looking fields and stuff. Had a quick nosy around I had earlier, and I'll use a quick chance to get a nosy around there as well. Straighten up a little bit, we're at a bad angle there. Now, we'll get our hitch dropped down and we'll pull out. Right, and hook up to our trailer. God, he wasn't too long unloading it anyway. He said to me, there was no point in me sticking around, you see. He said you might as well take on his little trailer and get the last few bales, so hopefully he'll be happy when he sees we have one extra on it there for him as well. Right, we're hooked up there now. Right, before we go anywhere, I'll give you a quick little look around, because it's like I say, he has some nice old land around here. Some good grass fields, I tell you that much, for nothing. Some decent old little bits of kit in there around the place as well. Nothing fancy and all. Saw a good bit of work alright, but sure, that's to be expected. You'd be wondering what was going on if I hadn't seen work. I see out here rapeseed, is it? Must be spring rapeseeds only sort of coming up. But yeah, nice little farm down here now, I have to say. I don't know if I'd like to be working in this yard every day. She's fairly compact. Now, figure out the best way of getting out here. I was thinking we might reverse around the corner, but that might still leave us pretty tight for getting out. So I think the best thing to actually do might be just to try and reverse out of it here altogether. It's going to be a fairly tight squeeze, but we'll see what we can do here. Take her nice and handy. I'll have to straighten her up here a little bit, but that'll do. We'll get out with that. Oh, lovely job. Yeah, he's some nice little old tractors down here. You might have noticed them there on the way in, but she'll get a better look at him there now in a minute. Like I said, I'll pull up here. Now we should get out with that. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if I'd like to be working in this yard every day, given how tight it is, but now we'll stop that off for a second. Yeah, nice kit down here, hasn't he? His little forage wagon there, I don't know what she is, an SIP. She's an older one, but looks fairly fresh all the same. Little Massey Ferguson combine harvester, what is she? 3640. She's not the biggest jock in the world, but nice little combine all the same, isn't it? Definitely seen a bit of work in its day. We'll jump up here to get out. Yeah, a nice whole yard down here. He has all his cows out at the moment, I presume. I believe he has a little parlour down there. You can see there's an old building down there, it's burnt out as well, but I think he has a little dairy parlour down there, and it's like I said, Kevin was saying to me, he keeps about 40 cows, and you can see he keeps sheep and a few goats out there as well. Must have been busy with the lambing, and I see a good few kids running around out there as well. But I tell you, he has some nice little kit down here too. I saw this yoke earlier, and jeez, she's quite clean. For 95, what is a Fent Farmer? I don't even know what horsepower them yokes are, but there must be 120 or more, I'd say anyway. Barring the bit of paint gone off the rims, jeez, there's not a mark on her. She's in quite nice condition. There's a little muck spreader on the back for what is she, a high spec? Hard to tell nearly with all the dirt. But yeah, nice setup down here, I do have to say. I like it, his yard. Little front mower and old baler, and I tell you, this yoke caught me eye when I saw it down here earlier. Little 6810. They're gone popular, these yokes, on the classic market, so they are. There's smaller ones and there was bigger ones. There was the 5610s and they go all the way up to a 7810, and there was a turbo version, but any of them four-wheel drive ones now, they're getting up in the money. The paintwork has definitely seen better days on this one, I'm sure, but yeah, she's not too bad for 1990 now. She's not too bad. Them yokes, just like I said, they're starting to get worth big money now. Like, they wouldn't make the same money as like the old 390Ts, but they're not too far away from it. Like, I'd say that yoke in that condition probably gets 17,000 for that yoke all day, I'd say. And there's some other little yoke here as well. I thought it was a David Brown when I pulled in, but I think it might be actually an old Massey 35. She's surely seen better days anyway, I know that much. I wouldn't say she's run tool in a while. But I think I heard that man coming out of the house, so I'll head on around into him here and we'll get us back up to the farm then. Ah, how are you going, Mick? Oh God, I love seeing a man coming to me with money. That's not looking too bad, no, I don't think. As you can see, I've just decided to give the Land Rover a little bit of a rinse off, and as you can probably also see, nature has decided to give me a little bit of a helping hand here. But as soon as we get done with this, we're going to be heading on up to Kevin's, because when I was talking to him the other day, I said to him about them cattle. I was sort of joking with him. I said to him, when are you going to get them old cattle up to the field? And he says to me, last week, he says, and I started laughing at him. I says to him, are you under pressure or what? And he says, I am, to be honest. He says, I haven't time to scratch my eyeballs, he says. So I said to him, sure, I said, why didn't you give me a shout, Kevin? I said, I told you, I said, if you ever wanted a bit of work done there, give me a shout and I'd be more than happy to go down and give you a hand, like. But he said, sure, we do manage. He says, you know, he has the young lad there with him, and I was joking with him. I was getting on to him. I says, what you need is a little farm hand there. I says, work 2 or 3 days of the week for you, you know. And he says, sure, we'll see, He says, but I tell you what, he says, I might take you up on the offer. He says, he said, if you'd have time, he says, maybe you'd move them old cattle up for me. And I said to him, that was no problem at all. So I said I'd head on down to him there today. Now, while I was down there, we'll jump in. While I was down there, he asked me what was the story with the whole septic tank. And I said to him that, well, it was the same as it was the last time. I says that I haven't been able to do anything. You know, I said to him I went to look at that little one in Greenlands, but I said to him that I had a tanker on it about the size of a Coke bottle, so I said it wasn't really worth looking at. And I told him then I went to look at one more, but sure, I'd said the old pump was half shot on it, so I didn't purchase that one either. But I said to him, look, I said, I'm still on the hunt there, I says, and hopefully, sure, it won't be too long, I says, and I'll have a way to get some of it out. But he said to me then, he said, he says, the whole tank is fairly brimming, isn't it? And I says to him, it is, I says, to be honest, I says, it really does need to get a bit out of it. And he said to me then, he said, well, sure, he said, I tell you what, he said, maybe you take up that tanker of mine and just take a load out of it before we get the cattle in. And I said to him that was grand, there was no problem if that was what he wanted to do. He said to me, would I have anywhere, you know, to spread slurry? And I said to him, God, I said, I surely do. I said, I'd have 2 fields there. I said that I could more than happily spread it in. So he said to me, well, sure, he said, go on then and work away, he said, and spread whatever you want to spread with it. So I said to him, God, I says, Kevin, that'd be great. I said, well, sure. I said, I'll tell you what, I said, will we call it evens then? I says, you know, I said, you give me a loan the tanker, I says, and I'll move the cattle for you. I says, and sure, whatever diesel, I said, I burn out the tractor there, I'll put it back in for you there as well. So he said that was grand. I think we'll just park up in here. Well, hopefully it shouldn't be in the way in here. Now, yeah, happy enough with this little thing. As you can see, she's fairly clean little bus inside and everything, even for the year of it. Now we'll lock her up and we'll get on our way. But yeah, like I said, he said it was worked out grand for both of us. So he was happy and I'm happy, and I'm surely happy when I get a chance to drive this yoke again. I tell you, old Airbus, I do love this yoke. But I'll get us on back up to the farm here, and yeah, we'll get out in the fields and we'll get spreading. Right, we'll just get that shut off, and we have our first tanker load in here, so we'll get on out and get spreading. The weather's not doing us any favours here. It's not ideal conditions for spreading slurry, but it's only to be showers, and I think it's only to be showers the next day or two as well, so we'll have to sort of chance our luck with it and see how we get on. That's all we can really do at this stage. Now, I haven't agitated the tank. Probably could do with it, to be honest, but look, I wasn't going to hire out an agitator just for a tanker load or two of slurry, you know. This tanker seems well able to handle it anyway, to be honest. I did actually fill it up with water there about 3/4 way full, and we'll just take our time here because it's tight enough getting in now that entrance, let me tell you. But yeah, like I said there, I filled it up with about 3/4 of a load of water, and I just blew it down into the tank itself just to help soften it up and stuff and make it a little bit easier for the tanker to actually suck it out. Now we'll try and straighten ourselves up here some way. Don't know what sort of a working width is on this yoke, but I'd say it's probably a fairly decent width, but we'll get her unfolded. I was kind of half glad I didn't have to agitate the tank anyway. Dirty old job, God, I hate doing it, and fierce dangerous old job as well, you know. It's a job a lot of lads don't treat with enough respect, to be honest with yous. Let's see, can we get this lowered down? Okay, and get our PTO on. Right, we should be good to go. God, there is a good working width on that, alright. But yeah, like I said, it's a dirty old job, you know. Lads don't often realise the full dangers of it, and they don't show it enough care. You know, I remember when I was back in school there, and there was a chap I knew there fairly well, and he used to work with the father on the farm at the weekends and there, and he got the notion here one day he was going to agitate the tank for them because the boys were gearing up to do slurry. And he went out anyway, and he started at it, and they sort of had an open slatted shed on one side, and on the far side they had a sort of a cubicle house, and he decided he'd take them off the slats and he only put them down though in the far side of the shed in where the cubicles were. And that was grand anyway until he started agitating, and next thing he looked around and saw one of the cattle stumbling around a little bit, and next thing he saw him keel over onto the ground. And at that point he thought he'd run into the shed, and thought he was going to get the gate open and get the cattle out, you know. That's what he was trying to do at least. But all of a sudden then, sure, the fumes overtook him, and it was only for luck that the father happened to be passing, and we're just empty there. And I'll go back in and get us refilled here. Alright, we get going again. So yeah, like I was saying there, it was only for luck his father happened to be passing, and he saw the chap sprinting into the shed and realised something must have been up, and he said he was over fumbling around at the gate trying to get it open, and he said before he could even let a shout at him, he keeled over himself. And you know, for luck, the father had the good sense to when he ran over, he had the good sense to knock off the tractor first, and he didn't go in through the shed. He actually went down the yard and around the other way, because, you know, he knew it was too dangerous to go in at that point, because, well, you see, this is where the dangers are in it, and this is what lads don't realise is when you have muck stored in a tank like that, and when it's not disturbed for a long time, like, it's one thing if you have an open slurry spit, or slurry pit I should say, and it's getting stirred up the whole time, you know, it mightn't be too bad. But when it's not getting disturbed like that, all the methane and all the gases get trapped down underneath it, and it's only when you stir it up that's when the issues start, because it all starts to get released, of course. And, well, the thing about the methane is it actually takes you down in about 10 seconds flat. You know, for luck, in their case everything worked out alright, like, you know, the young lad was alright and the animals were alright, and it wasn't the end of the world. But I can tell you one thing, that young lad got some scare. He often said it to me afterwards, you know, that it really did give him a fright at the time, and sure, I can't blame him, like, you know, he didn't even know what had happened. He said the last thing he remembered was running into the shed, and sure, it just came over him so quickly. But it's like I say, it's a job where lads, they just don't often realise the dangers of it. Like, it's grand for the likes of me and some of the younger lads here, where you know, we had to go to agricultural college there and you're taught about all these things, but if you're a lad like Mick or even Kevin there, you know, there was no such thing as agricultural colleges back in their day, and like, you know, the Slahead units are kind of only a thing that's come along in the last 15 or 20 years, and, you know, it got more popular, and so lads just don't often realise the danger associated with him. And look, you know, I know these videos are not going to be going out to a major amount of people or anything, but like, if it helps inform one person or make one person show a little bit more care to doing that job, well sure, then it's worth having that conversation about it, I think, isn't it? You know, back when I was contracting there, it's like I said, it was a job I hated doing, but we used to have the little old gas meters for doing it, and well, you could be standing maybe 25 yards away and the gas meter would be still telling you to go, like, you know, another 5 yards or so with it. So it's like I said, it really is a job that needs to be treated with care, and hopefully, like I said, maybe this will help someone on that front. Right, we'll just get that locked up. Have the keys of the Massey here. He told me to take that up. His cattle box is up in the fire shed, I think, so should get this done handy enough. It's probably 2 or 3 trips in it, I'd say, but yeah, shouldn't be too bad. Tell you what, this is a nice little tractor inside, isn't it? Yeah, fairly clean old yoke. Not that maybe as nicely finished as the New Holland, but not a bad yoke at all. But yeah, so we have one more thing to talk about there today, which is to circle back to our little class harvester. Obviously you saw that I had the pickup off on it, and well, she was off for a good reason. I don't want to get into it too much today, but I'll tell you this, it's not good news, and it's not something I'm a bit happy about. I'm still in the process of trying to get things sorted out here with it, and yeah, I think I might kind of hold off until the next episode, and we might chat about it then, when maybe I'll have some good news to go with the bad news, so to speak. Now, we'll try and get this around here. I don't want to get back too far for a minute, because we need to get that gate open. Actually, maybe I'll pull up here a little bit, because we're going to want to come in at that a little bit more of an angle, I think. Stay over here a little bit, and we can swing in. Now, we'll jump out. Now, hopefully these girls won't go anywhere for a minute. He's already come to your new home, girls. They sound happy anyway. Rain or not, I think they'll probably be happy to get out to a bit of fresh grass at this stage of the year. Now, I think we're probably fairly good at that. Let's try and get that back gate down, and we'll jump on back out. Yeah, the rain is really making it miserable going today, but we'll see how we get on. Right, who's first? Not you anyway, by the looks of you. Oh, change your mind again, have you? Right, girls, come on, let's get a few of yous in. Isn't that some sight to see? Isn't it great to see life out in the field? And Kevin's cattle certainly look happy, and so am I to have them around here, to be honest. I love seeing the cattle out in the field. But I've been sitting here for about the last 15 minutes just kind of watching them and things, and I know we should be getting back up to Kevin's, because, well, we're starting to lose the light there now, and I need to drop back off the Massey and stuff. But yeah, just kind of been enjoying it here, and you know, I've been here, what, nearly 3 months now. I know it's only been a couple of months since we started doing the vlogs, but I was here for a couple of weeks before that, and it's all been so hectic that there just hasn't been a moment to kind of stop, you know? Like, it's been stressful too. You know, obviously I was able to purchase this place and I don't have a mortgage on it, and that's removed a huge amount of the stress out of it. And like, I certainly realised how privileged I am to be in that position, and I certainly don't take it for granted. But there was still stress. There was the stress of putting in the offer. There was the stress of waiting to see would it actually be accepted, and then when it was, that brought fear and anxiety and doubt, and just wondering, like, had I made the right decision, and could I actually do this and do it on my own, you know? Like, once the offer was accepted, I had to actually start thinking about things. I had to start thinking, what were we going to do with that little arable field up there, you know, to try and make the best of it? What were we going to do with all our grassland to try and make the best of it, you know? I had to organise getting what bits of machinery we had down here. I had to organise getting that little mobile home and getting it in here, and I know it's a very minor thing, but then I started doing these vlogs and stuff as well, and it's like I said, just everything has been sort of go, go, go. There hasn't really been a moment to just sit back and stop, but there's something about seeing the cows here now. I don't know why, but it's like it's just giving me a little glimpse into the future, because yeah, sure, these are Kevin's cattle and they're not ours, but someday we could be looking at our own cattle out here, you know? The whole time I've been here, and even in the last few weeks doing these videos, a lot of this still hasn't felt real. It's almost felt like I've been working on somebody else's farm. You know, having a farm was a dream of mine, but that's all it ever was. It was a dream. It was a far-off notion. It was never something that was actually really going to happen, but now it is. Now it's real. This is my farm. And yeah, I think that might be the first time it's ever truly really felt like that. And let me tell you, that's a damn good feeling. So, I think that's probably as good a place as any to leave it for today's episode, and I think I might sit here another few minutes before I head back up to Kevin's. But until next time, take care and good luck.